And good morning, everyone. Welcome to Navigate B2B. And I'm your host, Steve Ferreria. I'm CEO of Ocean Audit, a global ocean freight and international logistics cost recovery company here in Hartford, Connecticut, and soon to be beautiful Miami, Florida. That's right. That's right. We um, hit the lottery ticket, I guess, and moving down to the great state of Florida, along with the rest of the world. So um, that's in the works right now, and we're really happy that got so many great friends and clients down there that will make our transition to the new Florida lifestyle pretty seamless. So we have a lot in the fire going on. It's really great to see you guys. So much has been happening in the world of container getting since since we last came on air after our a brief hiatus with some of the other great FreightWaves specials coming on. So hope you've enjoyed all the content on FreightWaves TV, and hope you enjoyed our series in Miami recently at the port and with City Furniture. It was great to be at the port of Miami. I want to thank everyone there in their team for hosting us and our camera crew. And it was a great rundown there. So we're really glad to, as I said, be relocating to Miami. It's going to be kind of a gradual thing. I think we've got a couple more shows left from Connecticut, but we'll have more. Some of my big plans coming up are a lot more on-sites, and we've got a great kind of media setup in our new home that will be helping to showcase and sharing some of that with my great audience and friends and great fans out there. So really want to just say thank you. I mean, FreightWaves has been putting out some awesome content, got some great new hosts and some great new shows. So we're really pleased that our run on Navigate B2B is continuing. And so, by the way, too, you can have your own Navigate B2B tie. You can see here I'm styling the new Navigate B2B colors, only $42.99 on Etsy. I'll give you the URL at the end of the show. I'm just kidding. But it is funny how my tie matches our existing logo and color. So I found this cleaning out, getting ready to move. So that's the truth. I think that as we start to look at today's run of the show and some of the commentaries that I have prepared for my great audience today. You know, we've been looking at so many aspects of container getting and the impacts of container shipping on the import community and the export community. And it's just been a massive hit in a lot of different ways, right? But maybe not for the ways that you're thinking. And today's show is a little bit different in the sense that, I'm not going to pontificate in terms of, well, what should you be doing? What kind of spot rates, should you be looking at? How should you try to adjust your contracts? What's the latest status of how many container ships are sitting outside the port of LA? One of the things that I really feel really proud about is meaning I tried to get out of the gate real early when the pandemic hit, a year or so ago, over a year ago, and do a lot of editorials on what's happening in the industry. And I'm so pleased to see a lot of my friends and colleagues on LinkedIn, for example, jumping in, and everyone's supporting, great commentary. From so many different directions. I could go on and on, but with names in terms of the great reporting out there in the container shipping industry. But I would be remiss that I miss one or two of my good friends. Suffice to say, the information flow has been quite good. But at the same time, and in preparing for today's show, maybe a little bit too staccato, right? Plan ahead, get with NVOCCs. If you're a small importer, move some of your volume to NVOs, break away from the carrier. We're hearing the timeless same kind of mantra, right, over and over again. And of course, it's too late for that, right? I think you'll see as we progress with today's show that what's done is done. and the decisions that have been made with cargo routing and carrier selection, vendors have been done, have been completed. But no, rather, I think that the reporting story, or the breaking story that I'd like to share today, and again, please bear with me on this as I lay this out for you. I think you'll agree with me that ocean freight is very inefficient, very, very inefficient. And so really think of it this way. And again, this is not an advertisement for Ocean Audit or any auditing company or any cost recovery or any cost containment company, right? I mean, I'm out there, everyone's out there, everyone knows how to find me. But my point is that I think the ocean freight containergeddon has irretrievably broken the efficiency of both the ocean vendors' systems, and I'm referring, when I say ocean vendor, to direct carrier and NVOCC, and I'm also referring to the BCO, beneficial cargo owner. So let me explain. So if you think about the incredible profits being made in the container shipping industry right now, Maersk Line just this last week, declared Sorensko, who's always someone I cite a lot, both from the standpoint that Maersk has always admitted they have a fairly high error invoice rate, that they don't do invoicing quite well. At the same time, Maersk just declared, and to use Sorensko's words, to paraphrase Soren, their best quarter ever. And I think that's all that needs to be said. Maersk made money hand over foot, hand over fist, and we have Zim coming up as a publicly traded company, which will be reporting, I believe, on May 12th, excuse me. And we're expecting just blockbuster numbers from Zim. And why shouldn't we expect blockbuster numbers from Zim when not only on top of ocean rate, you're looking at thousands of dollars of premium fees and services, guarantees and slot guarantees and space guarantees. Maybe well-deserved. Great vessels, small, nimble, quicker, moving in and out. And, Zim's way of looking at things may be the Matson-esque way. Smaller is better. And we'll get into that a little bit later on ship chartering costs. But back to the inefficiency of the line of trade, both as it affects the steamship line, the NVOCC, and the beneficial cargo owner, right? So I think this is really an important philosophical point, for my audience. Just because Maersk had their best quarter ever, or Zim's numbers will be blockbuster, or Expeditors blew it out of the park with their earnings per share, just because that happens, it doesn't mean that they've brought on 10 people to enhance detention and demurrage invoicing, or they brought on 8 people or a global quality control person for your particular invoices before they release them to you, right? So the cadence or the velocity that is happening on the ocean vendor side and the NVOCC side is just as tornado-like as it is happening on your side, the BCO side, for my importer-exporter friends and clients that are watching this and colleagues. So I think what you have to kind of look at is, I think there's sometimes the mentality that, well, because, I'm paying double or triple what I did in ocean freight now, that I'm getting a better, efficient product service. Well, you have to remember, right, guys, I think that the onus here is that the ocean vendors and the NVOCCs never agreed to say, we're going to be so efficient that all you have to worry about as a BCO is managing your supply chain and the building blocks within that. Rather, what's happened and what's the invisible element here that no one's really monitoring is that the VOCC, the Maersks, the Evergreens, the Hapbags of the world, the NVOCCs, the DHLs, the Schenkers of the world, the efficiency model is turned that they're issuing invoices as they see fit. For example, if we're focusing on cost control. And that's a big part of why ocean freight is broken efficiency wise, because the onus has shifted dramatically from the direct carrier or the NVOCC to self-adhere to, let's say, correct rating. And that shifted that model back to the BCO. And now with the de facto understanding that, hey, anything that I issue as a steamship line or as an NVOCC, it's really kind of gravy in terms of how that marginalizes my profit for that particular shipment, right? So I may have issued an invoice where I'm making a $4,000 profit on that shipment, but I should only be making $3,500 because I might have accidentally. And again, it's not malicious, right? I'm talking about the broken system. So the steamship line or the NVOCC may have issued an incorrect invoice to the BCO because of the way container get and flow is. And so the onus is on that BCO to obviously self-service their own efficiency. But I make the case here, the editorial case here for the fact that at the BCO side, not only is ocean freight very inefficient, it's inefficient, 2x really, I think, because if you look at what the BCO's responsibilities are, you great guys and gals out there that are managing, our clothing and our TV wall mounts and our furniture and our mattresses, you've got issues with the warehousing, you've got issues with motor, power, trucking, you've got issues with duties and customs, thanks to the 310 tariffs and the repeal of some of them. And you've got issues with merchandising and advertising. The merchants are, okay, when are we going to get this? And well, what about our advertisement for this new patio set? So I think that's an issue that, we really have to look at, because you're managing all these exceptions and you're still getting this incredibly inefficient. I remember as a kid, right? The milkman would come to our house. The egg guy would come to our house. I remember he would take this little tab or pad of white paper, 2 dozen eggs, whatever it is, $1, and that would be his bill, right? Paper bill. And that was 1966, 1967. I still remember that. My mom, meeting the eggman at the door or the milkman and getting these really inefficient invoices. But that's how it was done, right? I moved to the audience that invoice improvement, from the originations of containerization, which is 60 years old, to now. I don't believe we've had the type of process improvement in cost controls as we have had in say, intermodalism or, efficiency of, ships engines, double stack trains. I mean, really, if you think about it, how many innovations are there in container shipping and ocean freight and global, logistics that, have been that impactful over the years? And now it's, there's a great line from Wall Street Money, Never Sleeps, Michael Douglas movie, one of my favorites. And they were talking about how hypothetically the money supply in the U.S. or the world could dry up with a financial crisis. And Shuley, this old guy, this old banker, says it'll go faster this time because everything's more efficient. And he was comparing today to the Great Depression and how fast things move. And the reality is, right, it's the same thing with your shipments. Your ladies' sweaters, your footwear, your furnaces, your plumbing supplies that you're importing. It goes faster and quicker. And all of a sudden, out the door is 100K or 200K because of this inefficiency. And the model is really broken. And that's why one of the, give you a little insight, right? Silicon Valley's next target in terms of trying to move the mountain in terms of process improvement is, believe it or not, supply chain efficiency models, which focus on spend and audit. For example, I've been approached several times by Silicon Valley on freight audit and control. Would I be willing to, um, look at either funding or selling ocean audit? And I would never do that because I've always bootstrapped my own company, and I think that I'm in the driver's seat for what I do, my specialty on audit control and recovery. And so, but I do believe that Silicon Valley has noticed this inefficiency. And this is a really, really important issue for my audience today, because it's something that in the C-suite, right, in the CFO suite, in the controller suite, even in maybe the SVP global logistics supply chain space, doesn't get its fair share of attention. The fact that these inefficiencies have not caused you to lose, 2 or 3,000 a week, but perhaps 2 or 300,000 a week, depending on the FEU, TEU throughput size that you're doing as a importer or exporter. And I think that when you combine that with the total turnkey billing structure that a BCO has to contend with, and again, some of these are out of my realm in terms of an expert, but as I said, even like customs and duty, even like duty drawback, or foreign trade zones, or repacking. You look at somebody like Amazon or Amazon's fulfillment division. Certainly, they're moving and shaking the trees of working with their Chinese vendors for either repackaging, remarking, warehousing. So they've got a lot in motion, right? Amazon has a lot in motion, and I think that when you look at the coverage, right, that the media gives to Containergeddon, it's really talking more about that 30 container backlog in LA, or how come Savannah doesn't have the backlog? And I think truly the way that CFOs and thought leaders need to act is not to say, oh, woe is me. I didn't get any of the volume I wanted to committed in my contract. I may have to play more spot rates. I would take the opposite tact on that. I would say, well, how much has the inefficiency of Containergeddon cost me? And what potentially is still recoverable while the iron is still hot, so to speak. Now, I think that when you look at the cost structures that all the BCOs are working with, certainly the problem is taking their eye off of the prize, right, which is the brass ring of getting the products from origin to destination warehousing. So I think that's why I've noticed Silicon Valley's activities in terms of trying to make efficiencies in spend more reliable and more cognizant, so that in cases of crises, we can, and when I say we, I mean the BCO, can reach out and do a reconciliation and say, oh, hey, on January 15th, 2020, you overcharged me $100,000, Maersk Line or Hapag, or, I'm just making it up. But I think that that's where the future lies. I've always thought that for the last 30 years, but I think it's now starting to catch up. And what's interesting about it, and this is where, I think it's very thought-provoking for you guys to think about. I mean, if Silicon Valley thinks that this is, one of the new hotspots, then it tells me, it validates the fact that it's a bigger trend than you might realize, right? So, we talked long ago about the fact that some experts thought that this was a short-term problem, that once we got past, Chinese New Year, volumes would normalize. But, as we start to look at this, and, one of the things I did to show you guys is on the design is I kind of put together Steve's crystal ball here. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago, we talked about, I made the comment, and I was really glad to see some LinkedIn folks recognize that, where I said that May, June, July, August, we'll have 100,000 more containers this year, 2021, than we did in 2020. And you can see from just looking, and this is my exclusive number count, this is China only, inbound to the USA. There's 619,000 TEUs for the entire month of April. And these are cargoes that landed and arrived at USA ports. So it doesn't count activity of cargo leaving China towards the end of April. This is everything that arrived at a USA port April 1 to April 31st. So 619,000 versus last year's 426,000. So actually almost a 200,000 TEU increase. And so when you look at that, right, and that's only April, think about what we will be looking at in May, June, July. So we're up about 190,000 versus what we were last year. Now, we might have a month where we're up 80,000, but I'm saying on average, we're expecting this problem to continue. And so when you look at, what the investment community has thought about, is they're saying, well, it's not a short-term problem, right? This is a problem. This is an opportunity where, we're going to be definitely seeing these kind of numbers, in perpetuity, or at least for a while. And, I think one of the things that's amazing, we can switch off on this slide, but one of the things that's amazing is I looked at Amazon. I talked a little minute ago about Amazon's fulfillment division, Amazon's logistics division, known as AMZD, which is their NVO program for small, medium-sized China exporters to the USA for fulfillment by Amazon. The numbers are staggering. April 2020, 2,027 containers. April 2021, 8,000 containers, almost a 295% increase. April 20 versus April 2021. That's just for their logistics division. Walmart, I kind of broke the code here, and I'm pleased to report that I think I'm the only one that has really viable Walmart numbers, because Walmart has a great way that they disguise the data. I won't reveal how I'm able to discern their volumes, but to give you an example with Walmart, 2020 for April 2020, the full month, 10,410 TEUs versus this April, 15,000 TEUs. So an increase of about 44%. And you want to know what's really interesting about the Walmart volumes that I found really intriguing. This is really, I actually had to do a double take when I saw this. The top 10 commodity lines for Walmart in April of 2021. Pool equipment. That's right, pool equipment, like swimming, not billiards. And, there's an old line, right? Follow the money, right? I look at, everyone has their own opinion on like Jim Cramer of CNBC, right? Mad Money. I like the whole investment stuff. So, he's an entertaining guy, I hope, like me, to watch. But, Cramer was saying, well, there's this pool company, and he named the pool company. He goes, its stock's really hot, right? And there's another pool company, and their stock's really hot. And I'm thinking to myself, it's really, really interesting. I'm moving to Florida, and I'll be buying a property that has a pool, but I'm told that to put a pool in, the wait list is, incredibly deep, right? So not sure what to make of the Walmart numbers with the fact that the top 10 commodities are pool related. I kind of read into that they're looking at like the 4th of July as the opening. So, and I think I am too, right? So in some ways it's brilliant, right? It's a brilliant stroke on the part of Walmart's merchandising and planners. I think that's really an interesting, intriguing thought process that they went through. and they may have timed it really well to hit the market, because I haven't seen anyone else with that kind of velocity on, let's say, pool or swimming type equipment. But it makes sense. It makes sense because um, I was on the airplane the other day, and it was the first time I noticed that many vendors, right, are putting material notices on either their restaurant menus or their online retail ordering sites. That certain materials are not available. Due to the global supply chain crisis, and it's the first time I'm seeing that. Right, that these kind of not out of stock messages, but just a general, like, and I'm trying to think who. There was a major one that I saw that had it. I think, it was interesting. I think it was Starbucks, right, that had materials out of stock. I got into this oat milk, right? Yeah, my wife has got me on this diet, and so she said, well, you have to drink the oat milk and not the regular cow's milk. And so I'm trying to order this oat milk. And they tell me it's like 3 months the backup. Now, again, I know it's not an imported product, but that's not the point. The point is that all materials are being affected adversely by the supply chain and inflation, right? And so I think when you start to look at the cost structures, the BCOs, I mean, it's like you could create, if there was, I think there's probably 25,000 BCOs out there that, you know, I feel I could create as a millionaires, right? And when I say I could create as a millionaire, I mean, I think that that's how much, you've lost the efficiency because of what's happened on Containergeddon. The good news, right, just in general, and again, not an advert for Ocean Audit or any other auditing services. The good news is that eventually that can be recovered, right? But you can't let that go, right? You've got to have that as a strategic, kind of clawback, right? So I think it's important, and I think Silicon Valley thinks it's important that you queue that up, that you start to think about that, because that's one way that you're going to be able to fight back, right, and push back against Containergeddon. One of the things I hear constantly from my audience is that, well, I feel they have us over the barrel, right? I mean, I don't want to disrupt my supply chain. Well, I mean, you could say right now that the carriers have such discipline that they have totally been able to control the environment, and they continue to control it. But it's a two-way street, right? And so what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I think that we have to look at both sides of the equation for clients to push back. Ocean's still not expensive. I just want to finish with one slide here. The charter a ship right now is about 40,000 a day. Carriers can still make profit up to $150,000 a day. So ocean is not that expensive, and the ocean vendors, your ocean vendors, are really getting a pretty fair, pretty cheap ride right now. The last thing I wanted to talk about is passing these costs on to consumers. One of the things that I see all the time, if you look at Amazon, one of the biggest products for Amazon is their TV wall mounts. They buy it for $2, they sell it for $27.99. A month ago, they had it for $19.99. So whether the ocean freight is $1 or $2, right now Amazon's making really great profits on the supply chain and ocean freight. So I don't worry too much about the fact that people have this kind of mantra that all these costs are going to be passed on. They're already being passed on. Amazon's making great profits on this particular model, as an example. So I just wanted to say in closing that the opportunities out there for BCOs are abundant to look back and claw back. I want to thank my audience for really listening to me today. You can get in touch with me on LinkedIn or steve@oceanaudit.com. Can't wait to have the next episode of Navigate B2B. And I want to wish everyone such a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Love you guys.